The wind moved slow across the dry plains, carrying ash that still smelled faintly of smoke. What used to be a home, strong wooden beams, a red-painted door, and a life built quietly was now nothing but blackened ruin. She stood in front of it, unmoving. Her name was Mei Lin, but no one in the nearby settlements ever bothered to learn it. To them, she was just the Chinese widow who kept to herself, lived far from town and spoke only when necessary. Now they would remember her name. Chapter 1. The Burning. It had happened at night. A group of men, drunk, angry, and hungry for someone weaker, rode out under the cover of darkness. They said her land wasn't rightfully hers, said she didn't belong, said things men often say when they want something they didn't earn. They set the fire fast. Flames climbed the walls of her ranch house like starving beasts. Her barn followed. Then the fences. Horses screamed, wood cracked, and the sky turned orange. But Mei Lin wasn't there. When she returned at dawn, carrying a bundle of herbs and a small hunted rabbit, she didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't fall to her knees. She just stood there, watching, learning, remembering. Chapter 2. A Quiet Past. People thought she was just a widow, weak, alone. They were wrong. Years ago, far from these lands, Mei Lin had lived in the mountains where winter could kill a man in hours. Wolves roamed there, not in twos or threes, but in packs. Her husband had taught her how to survive, and after he died, she had taught herself how to fight. One winter, when food ran out and the snow rose higher than the rooftops, a pack of wolves came down from the mountains. She had no gun, only a knife. By the time the storm passed, the wolves were gone. And so was the fear. Chapter 3. The Warning Ignored. The men who burned her ranch laughed about it the next day. Sitting in the saloon, boots kicked up, whiskey flowing. "She won't come back," one of them said. "Even if she does, what's she gonna do? Cook us rice?" Laughter filled the room, but not everyone laughed. An old man sitting in the corner, someone who had seen more than he spoke, just shook his head. "You boys made a mistake," he muttered. They didn't listen. Men like that never do. Chapter 4. The First Night. The first man disappeared 3 nights later. No gunshot, no scream, just gone. His horse returned alone, trembling, reins dragging in the dirt. They searched for him the next morning. Found nothing, just blood. And a single mark carved into a tree, a symbol none of them understood. But Mei Lin did. It meant you started this. Chapter 5. Fear Grows Teeth. The second man didn't disappear quietly. He screamed, loud enough for half the town to hear. By the time anyone reached him, it was too late. He was alive, but barely. Claw marks ran across his chest, but they weren't made by an animal. They were too precise, too controlled. As he gasped his last breath, he whispered something. Not human. That's when the laughter stopped. Chapter 6. The Hunter Returns. Mei Lin moved through the night like a shadow. No horse, no lantern, no sound. She watched them from the hills, from the trees, from the darkness they feared. One by one, she studied them. How they walked, how they drank, how they panicked. She wasn't just hunting them. She was teaching them fear. The same fear she had once felt when wolves circled her home. Chapter 7. The Last Stand. By the time only 3 of them were left, they weren't laughing anymore. They stayed together, guns always loaded, fire always burning. But fear doesn't leave a man just because he wishes it away. It grows, eats at him, turns his thoughts against him. That night, as the wind howled and the fire flickered low, she came, not charging, not shouting, walking, straight into the light. For the first time, they saw her clearly. Calm eyes, steady hands, a knife at her side. "You burned my home," she said quietly. One of them raised his gun, but his hands shook. "You killed our friend," he shouted back. Mei Lin tilted her head slightly. "No," she replied. "You did that the moment you chose fire." Chapter 8. What Wolves Teach. The first shot missed. The second didn't. But she was already moving. Fast, precise, silent, like the wolves she once faced. Within moments it was over. The fire still burned, but the men didn't. Chapter 9. Ashes and Seeds. Days later, the town rode out to her land. They expected to find more death. Instead, they found something else. Mei Lin, rebuilding, alone. Again, hammer in hand, wood stacked neatly, no anger in her eyes, just purpose. No one approached her at first, until the old man from the saloon stepped forward. "You could have burned the whole town," he said. She paused, then looked at him. "I'm not like them," she replied. Chapter 10. The Name They Remembered. From that day on, no one called her the Chinese widow again. They called her Mei Lin, some out of respect, some out of fear, but all of them remembered, because they had learned something the hard way. Some people survive the fire, others become it.